What is a fun, interesting way, or crazy way, or just bizarre way to use the T-Rex in a Dungeons and Dragons game or a roleplay game? I know it's a dinosaur. I had to include a dinosaur at some point, and the T-Rex is the one that I wanted to include because I've used it so many times before. And Femin, have you got something for us in terms of the T-Rex?
I think I would do something very similar to, I guess, the unicorn, but kind of like, I guess, in a way the opposite. I love the idea of just foreshadowing the T-Rex. That's my favorite part. You hear the steps, right? The quaking, the leaves kind of coming down, the birds kind of flying around. You see the dinosaurs that you've been fighting all this time. If you're like playing on Chult or something, right? You've been fighting dinosaurs and they're hard. Your party's like level 3 or something, and you see them running away from something. That something must be really scary. The idea of rolling on that random encounter and then just like looking at the numbers, just, oh no. Anyways, you hear steps and then just kind of like really, but then not actually showing the T-Rex. If they defeat the T-Rex, right? If they see it and they run, that's awesome. But if they fight it and actually defeat it, it's like that's the moment that in a way you kind of want to avoid, because then there's nothing in the jungle theoretically that they would be scared of, unless they see the T-Rex dead, something bigger killed it, and then it gets exciting again. I'm not sure if I have anything. What I would recommend would be, I don't recall exactly the name of it, but there's a Magic the Gathering setting. I think it's excellent. I think that is all about dinosaurs, and they look amazing. If you ever need any art for T-Rexes for your game, or dinosaurs in general, just go there. That's all you need. It's an entire campaign setting basically with like dinosaurs, and it's great.
Yeah, no, I've pulled a lot of art from there and found it useful for dinosaurs. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Femin. Yeah, Opal, what about the T-Rex?
Yeah, so speaking of low intelligence, T-Rex is like a 2 int, super awful. Um, I'm playing Tomb of Annihilation right now as well with Flutes, and we haven't come across a T-Rex yet. But some of my ideas, I kind of picture in this Chult setting, some kobolds getting lost in the jungle. You got a band of them, and they're thinking we can't find a dragon to revere. And you guys are gonna hate me when I say this, but what's the difference between a T-Rex and a dragon? Probably no flying and low intelligence, no magic. It's pretty not comparable. But let's suppose that the kobolds see this T-Rex and they think that's pretty dragon-like. Let's follow it. Kobolds being the rambunctious, wily creatures they are, I can see them thinking we need to survive in this jungle where things are huge and eat us. So let's take some T-Rex eggs that have already hatched. Let's seal ourselves inside and, put ourselves back in a nest. And when the T-Rex comes, we hatch out of the eggs. We smell like T-Rexes. We came out of your eggs. We're your babies. And the T-Rex protects them and feeds them.
Oh, it's really good,
That's
Opal.
fantastic.
Yeah, you scored big points on that one. That was that got me. I love that idea. I definitely feel like that would mess with the players big time with that play. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
forget everything I said. Let's go with that. That sounds awesome.
It does. It does. It's really good. Kevin, the T Rex. What would you like to do with the T Rex?
Well, it's interesting because you think about way back when they put it in the first edition monster manual, and we were all sort of like dinosaurs, and we sort of instinctively always put them somewhere else, in a jungle surrounded by mountains, or a lost island, Arthur Conan Doyle, because it was always like they're not part of the sort of medieval mythical setting. They were very specific. They evolved. They actually existed in the world, but 65 million plus years ago. And so to have them as just another animal out there always seemed a little strange, a little like, but they're not supposed to be there or something. And so I always felt like you had the island or they're from another dimension. And if you're going to make them rare, what if someone has gone to an island and they've captured a T-Rex and brought them here and they're using them as a sort of a, carnival exhibition act or something. And you have characters who find this, whether it's druids or rangers or, characters of domains that nature that this is something that is wrong. These things belong either where they're from, is somewhere far away in another ecosystem, or they're another plane or something like that. And because they are just an animal, right? They're not like a dragon that has, as Opal said, they don't have intelligence or magical. They're just another animal. They're a vicious animal. But the idea then being the players, have to figure out a way to get this T-Rex or whatever it is and take it back. Or the other element is it's interesting. I had this at the end of mine because we were talking about dragon's blood and stuff. The parts of a T-Rex, because of its rarity, because it's from somewhere else, some other dimension, i.e. Earth 65 million years ago or whatever, that their body parts are extremely useful, their teeth or whatever. And these, in fact, may have magical properties. So I would always keep them rare, unusual, either in a specific place, the Monster Island from the old Japanese monster movies or something like that, and not have them necessarily just wandering the countryside like other animals do, because they just, to me, they don't really belong in the ecosystem of the standard world. But again, this was just from when I watched them. They were just plugged in the first edition, and we ran them because we were just kids. We were like, oh, okay, but they always didn't quite make sense.
Yeah, I think they were plugged in. It was Isle of Dread. You had them in the Isle of Dread, which for me was fine because King Kong was a big influence on the Isle of Dread, right? And yeah, Glenn, what have you got for the T-Rex?
I just reviewed Isle of Dread about 2 weeks ago. Did the remaster of it. And sticking with Isle of Dread because that is the first module that actually gave us the known world. So north of the Isle of Dread, there is the Empire of Thyatis, which is this quasi mix of Rome, Byzantine, and the Holy Roman Empire. So the Emperor Thincal is not a very nice person. He's not evil. He's just doesn't put up with other people's stuff. But the Thyacians, being the Romans, love exotic stuff. So one of the major things with Isle of Dread is getting the dinosaurs off the island into Thyatis. Well, being based on Rome, of course, they like to watch people stab each other to death. And one of the gladiators is the Venatari or the Bestiarius, depending on if they're fighting alone or together. So you've got the party, they're in the gladiator arena for whatever reason. And it's like they see the first guy, the guys before them, and they jump out and they throw out the displacer beast and fight them. So it's the party's turn. They get ready, doors open, T-Rex. Especially if you have not hinted at all that you're going to be facing dinosaurs. If you keep it straight up, standard fantasy, you're expecting an owl bear, you're expecting a griffin, or you're expecting a boulet, or a bullet, or whatever. But when they throw out something straight out of land, the land out of time, you keep the party off. Yeah, the Hollow World. Mystara does love its dinosaurs. It also loves its megafauna. I had to go look at what a Grangary was. And yeah, you use them as a surprise monster, but you have to keep it at least plausible. And the Romans, they'll throw rhinos out at to people for fun, or high capacity assault unicorns. So yeah, that's that's how you can use a T-Rex as a surprise boss monster when the party's not expecting it. You don't want it to suddenly start attacking down the street unless there's a circus or a carnival and one of them happens to get out, which I think was a plot of some other module.
Cool, thank you, Glenn. So AJ, the T-Rex, and Femin, you just do the hand signal thing when you need to go, and we will say goodbye to you. Is it now? Oh, no, is that just practice? That's just practice. Okay, cool. We've got the signal down. Go for it, AJ.
So, nothing quite says immortal in the world of immortals in Mystara like Ka the Preserver, who started off his mortal life as a 45-foot tall saurian. So, yeah, that's pretty amazing. You've been around for a long time. Nothing says a long time like dinosaurs. In the Forgotten Realms, my forte, they're thunder beasts. They're not dinosaurs. So the time scale is much truncated, and many things happen because of creator races. And one of the first creator races, of course, was the Saruk, the reptilian scaly kind. All came from their machinations, and also they got all the creepy, weird primal magic that all these different primitive lizard folk tribes and things like that were practicing, and combined it all into these scrolls, which became the foundation of the Netherall Empire, and the machinations of Jurgle the Spellweaver, which I'll get into at some later stage. Anyway, yeah, the idea that these things are still around as cryptids and things like that, as rare, great primal beasts in the Forgotten Realms is always really cool. Like you've got a tribe of the Uthgard in the far north who have legendary ties with thunder beasts. So these guys could show up riding literally great mammothy type reptile type things, but they're covered in feathers and things, which, archaeological evidence that China has shown us is that they were active in very cold climates. But you had feather clad mammoth looking tyrannosaurs and allosaurs and stuff wandering around. They existed. So you don't think you can get away from them by climbing up into the cold climates. No, they're there too. So they were masters of the world in all of its ecological niches long, long ago. And with the Forgotten Realms, of course, they're still active, and they're in Chult. The main reason why they're in Chult is because there's a deal that the gods made with one of the primordials, who basically turncoated on the other primordials and let the deities get an edge up. And so they said, okay, you can exist in Chult. You're fine. That's your territory. And he's like, okay, we're keeping the Thunder Beasts because they're perfect. So that was that. Yeah, so they can show up all over the place, and I love the idea of Chult. They're integrated in society, and they're no more different than any other sort of pack beast and things like that. And yeah, having a T-Rex show up in a gladiatorial arena is just perfect. You're in a fantasy world. You're in a fighting fantasy choose your own adventure novel on the classic sense when you're in the slave pits of Agmar or whatever, and yeah, they throw a T-Rex in there, and there's a classic 2000 AD Judge Dredd storyline as well, where it was ABC Warriors, I believe it was, some of the very first comics for those, where they're on a world and there's these rich guys who have gone back in time and gotten T-Rexes and brought them forward in time, and fantastic storyline. These things just like the king of eating, terrifying. They can just not eat enough.
So, building off your Chult idea and Magic the Gathering, since Mr. Rhexx had mentioned it, the first thing that popped into my mind was dinosaur races, but primarily using a T-Rex as a mount. Because if you're going to have any dinosaur, like which dinosaur are the players going to want to ride? It's going to be the T-Rex. We will explain to them later on that there's a high probability and fatality rate with actually riding T-Rexes. But that's all right. That's for later on. So I'm going to suggest the T-Rex as a mount. Probably not practical to actually tame, but we'll do that. And if they eat a few player characters or a few NPCs along the way, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelette. That's the reality, right?
I would definitely take the Triceratops over the T-Rex because not only does it have 3 lances on its head already, but it's the perfect shield lance setup. So you can slam something in front of you or to the side. You just mow through anything in the way. The mass of those things is incredible. Yeah, and don't forget that even the T-Rex in combat is terrifying because of its tail. That bludgeoning damage from that tail is active all the time, even when it's chewing up your friend and swallowing them in front of you, like a seagull taking down a Subway sandwich. It's also slapping the hell out of you as well at the same time. And it can slap fortifications and stuff. Something that big, I always give it siege, so it does double damage against structures, because why not? And yeah, just devastating.
Had a lot of players who cast polymorph on one of the characters, turn them into a T-Rex, and then use that T-Rex player character as a mount. It's come up in my game many times. I'm sure you guys have experienced the same sort of thing. It's what players do. So the other idea I had was a vegetarian T-Rex, like... You knew this was going to happen, AJ. Why did you not think? Did you not think I was going to say this? Of course I was going to say this.
I thought somebody was going to mention that there's this meme animated image of a dinosaur using an axe at the moment going around. It looks really amazing. A T-Rex using a giant axe with great skill and dexterity is way more awe-inspiring than I thought it would be.
I actually draw a lot of my ideas from memes as it happens, but no, I was thinking of a vegetarian. Like, it's had enough. It's developed like an irritable bowel and actually can't process meat anymore, and therefore it's had to switch its diet to soft. Yeah, that's right. Vegan, vegetarian. Yeah. So I know it's strange. We may have to give it a bit of intelligence, because if it's only going to have an intelligence of 2, it probably won't be able to figure out that it shouldn't be eating meat and it'll die. But if it's a bit smarter, it might eventually, at least the wisdom. Like,
could we give it like big flat teeth so it's like?
Yeah. Oh, well, we could give it a gold tooth. I mean, let's get real. Let's give it a gold tooth, vegetarian. With what sort of hat would you wear if you were like a Rastafarian? Like a Rastafarian T-Rex vegetarian with a gold tooth.
And let's not forget, in the first layer of Celestia, there are islands off the shore of holy water that you burst out of to arrive in Celestia, and they are populated with intelligent dinosaurs from the ancient past. So you can have a peaceful T-Rex wise sage who's sitting there, towering over all the others and looking really intimidating. But he's just got a big head because he's really smart.
You also have to give them grabby arms.
Yeah, and also their arms are small enough to put magic rings on their hands.
Yeah, for some reason I've gone straight back to the Muppet Show again. There's one of the band players. Is it? It's not Dr. Hook. But one of them's got gold teeth, and I guess take that and put that over the top of the T-Rex, and you're doing all right. The other thing is there is a meme out there.
Playing the piano with his tiny fingers.
That's right. There is a meme out there with a zombie T-Rex, which is not like unusual, but without ruining somebody else's day, a zombie T-Rex, not my idea, that spews zombies that then chase down the party, is definitely got to be one of the most fun concepts that I can possibly think of. And if you haven't already done it, which I suspect that some people already have, you should definitely do it.
Hobgoblin Necromancer inside the ribcage of a zombie T-Rex, and he's firing Greek fire from its mouth.
I'm just very shocked that we haven't seen like more dinosaurs just kind of break away from the jungles side of things, because I mean you do see them in a lot of polymorphs. Like that's like literally the best thing you can polymorph into, basically. But you see all kinds of monsters out there. It's just funny because we have, like, I guess in the real world, right? Like we have all these like really big, ancient, actual like looking monsters, right? And you barely get to see them in very traditional, I guess, Forgotten Realms, or where we play is like kind of more European style. But like you never get to see like a lot of elephants or saber-tooth, tigers, or like dinosaurs. We get dragons, you put wings on them and suddenly it's like normal. Which is very interesting, because if you play or watch a lot of like Japanese style European games or movies or whatever, they will use dinosaurs. Like you will see a lot of brontosauruses, like on Final Fantasy and stuff. You see them all the time.
Blame Jules.
But then like actual like Western made European themed adventures or D&D or whatever, you don't get to see them at all, which is really interesting.
When I think of the land of dangerous reptiles, I think of Australia, and in Forgotten Realms we've got Aussie, which is the large unexplained continent, and just the perfect situation there would be this blasted landscape full of dinosaurs and poisonous reptiles and stuff, and then you got these, the native people there are just like, "G'day, mate." Have no problem taming, this thing. And there's no dragons there, because it turns out that in the ancient past, when dragons were first evolving, the dinosaurs had venomous bites that affected only dragons. And we've got a couple of things there where there's toxins and stuff from these dragon beetles, which paralyze dragons and nothing else. And of course, dragonborn and dragonkin. So the idea that thunder beasts have been wiped out specifically by the dragons for a reason. Yeah, it's like, turns out that we can take out this dragon by using a Tyrannosaurus tooth. Where are we going to find a Tyrannosaurus? Now you're on a cryptid search.
And it's interesting how powerful they are, and just how you don't see them everywhere. You would imagine that like a T-Rex would destroy like a manticore, probably, right? Like so you would imagine you would see them going around. I guess, outside of Chult, but they just never do.
Yeah. There's a
I
great
guess you have
bit
the
of
UNT
artwork
there. I don't
with
know.
a froghemoth versus a Tyrannosaurus in a jungle setting. Yeah. Beautiful.
One problem they have, and it's a strange curiosity. Okay, Isle of Dread, the one that was the Lost World, they had dinosaurs in every terrain type on Isle of Dread, and Isle of Dread has 5 different terrain types, but the art only ever showed the jungle, not the mountains, not the plains, not the swamps, not the not the lakes and stuff. They had plesiosaurs, but they didn't show them to you, and for whatever reason, they've always kept with that. Dinosaurs are always in the jungle, even when you'd see the brontosauruses on the in the water, you'd see the the pachiosauruses on the plains. But they don't draw those because it's T-Rex in a jungle. And it's
we know that the velociraptors are highly effective in jungle terrain and stuff. We've got some classic scenes from Jurassic Park, Clever Girl, where they're using those ambush tactics. Tyrannosauruses using the same sort of tactics would be just next level terrifying.
Hence why they made follow-up movies to Jurassic Park, which is what we essentially got, was the T-Rex and the Velociraptor.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I was actually thinking maybe the reason why the T-Rexes in the normal Dungeons and Dragons worlds haven't sort of taken over is they're a bit like the Australian koala. They eat too many eucalyptus leaves, and of course they get stoned, and they sort of wind up sleeping all day like dragons. And so because unlike a dragon has a long lifespan, T-Rex just goes to sleep and just never wakes up, and it just starves and dehydrates. So like that's why there's not so many of them around.
How there's any herd animals in the Forgotten Realms at all, I don't know. So many things that eat horses and camels and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Have we covered everything? I think we have covered the T-Rex pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so let us know in the comments section what you would do with the T-Rex or what you have done with the T-Rex. And thank you to all of my guests. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.